visualize and how to visualize. Which is Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings in front of you, and how you visualize them. They are like very affectionate parents, and you come home demoralized, and they are there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth. Both in the field, visualize your two kind parents around you, on your two sides, and all your family members around you, and all the innocent beings. And here you are the mother, and all others are like children. And imagine you come home demoralized. They come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, and embrace, and so forth. To the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in their eyes. And the purpose of this class is to discover the ultimate source of happiness within yourself by cleansing the mental defilements which obscure this treasure, and knowing that these defilements, the mental defilements, are of the nature of ignorance, and the stains with this ignorance. By resorting to the wisdom of emptiness, these defilements can be got rid of. And with great compassion, love for all sentient beings, you are leading this practice in the class, and everyone is happy to join you. Bodhas and Bodhisattvas, they're watching us. With their mind, page 3. And tears with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha with Dharma, I pay homage. And tears with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha with Dharma, I pay homage. And tears with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha with Dharma, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the Supreme of all teachers, one and taught this priest which is afraid of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking preservation, complete peace, who through the knowledge of past courses was having migrated to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience help subdue and expand the varieties of teachings. The one who is transformed into a reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teachers who guard and protect her to your frustrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and profound, who eternal chance for the forever noble light raised. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice for giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanya Joda Zoke Jonamna Janjo Bardo Dani Sonamge Dola Benjir Sanya Jovarajo Sanya Joda Zoke Jonamna Janjo Bardo Dani Gyabzoj Dage Jinso Yebe Sonamge Dola Benjir Sanya Jovarajo Sanya Joda Zoke Jonamna Janjo Bardo Dani Gyabsoche, Dage Jinso Yebe Sonamge, Dola Benjire Sanye Rubareisho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Shantatagato Yavatat Echam Chayo Niroda Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Vadi Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes and wisdom is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration, free, clear-lined, and non-composite. Such the nectar dharma I've just covered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching in silence or return to the words. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the professional wisdom, which is unborn, unseized, and has the nature of space.
It is the object of apprehension that prevents wisdom.
Of the obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of all, go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, miseries, I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is no grasp, you do not reveal. Okay, page 14, praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the entire transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, full awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the complete and full awakened one, the entire transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shaggy clan, persuade me offerings and go for refuge. When, O Supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paid all 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, win of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With a supreme science, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Earth-tree like you, the 3 worlds are not, incompatible wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit that called the vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dhamma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. Astra, a visual apparition, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop, a dew, a bubble, a rain, a flash of lightning, clouds, you condition things as such. Through these merits, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the 4 falls, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the base of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, Heart Sutra Mantra. Deyata Om Kati Kati Aragadi Arasam Svatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam
Gati Bodhi Swaha.
Yata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. Yata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. Yata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. Yata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha. Okay, we will read we'll read from page 73, three principal aspects of the path. Page 73. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I'm able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the Conqueror, the path praised by the Conqueror's children, entrance for those who desire liberation. Listen to the clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of cyclic existence. Strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity. Without the craving for existence also binds beings, thus from the outset seek renunciation.
Reverse attraction is like reflecting on one nation of opportunity to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects and the mysteries of samsara. Contemplating thus when, for instance, you do not admire the splendors of cyclic existence and remain intent on liberation day and night, renunciation is born in you then. Renunciation is not tempered by the pure mind of bodhicitta, however, does not bring forth the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Therefore, wise ones generate the excellent mind of bodhicitta, spread out in the current of the form of strong bonds of karma, so hard to undo, caught in the iron net of self-grasping,
complete invalid by the darkness of ignorance. Born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the three miseries. Think of your mothers in this condition, generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom they realize this ultimate reality. You cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. Therefore try to understand dependent arising. One who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and destroys all focuses of apprehension.
Appearances are infallible, dependent arising.
Emptiness is understanding that is free of assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddha. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping through definite discernment, at that time the novices of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refute the extreme of existence, emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized the point of the three principal paths, seek solitude and cultivate strong determination and quickly reach the final goal. Okay, 5 minutes meditation. Okay, ready? Okay, we are on chapter 13, page 37. Okay, chapter 13, page 37. Chapter 13 is refuting objectively existent sense power and objectively existent objects. So this is the subject matter of the title. Refuting objectively existent sense power and objectively existent objects. Okay, saying the idea is that so thus far, so what is being rejected or the refuted as the objectively existent phenomena. This is what is refuted. In other words, idea is that the Buddha taught that everything is like a dream. Everything is like a dream. Dream means, say that the dreaming mind is the subject, what is dreamt is the object. And unlike in a very conventional sense, in a mundane sense, unlike this flower which we are seeing now, this flower is the object and our mind is the subject, object and subject. In the dream also, you will have chocolate and your eye consciousness is seeing the chocolate in the dream. You think that you are seeing the chocolate when you dream of holding a chocolate there. So, for an ordinary person, if I ask the person to distinguish between these two things, what's the difference between the person holding a chocolate in the dream and a person holding a flower in the real life, in the waking state? What's the difference? So then, for sure, everyone will give the answer that the dream chocolate is not from the object, it's coming from this subject, coming from your mind. Whereas this flower, when you are in the waking state, this flower is not coming from the mind, it's from the object. So the Buddha said that just as the dream chocolate is coming from the mind, everything is coming from the mind. Even in the daytime, what we see as a flower which is so independent of your mind, this is deceptive. In actuality, everything comes from the mind, nothing from the object. So this is the idea. So for that matter, so let's say, when we see this flower, to have the eye consciousness seeing the flower, we need three things. One is the object. Even if the object is there, if your eyes are closed, again you will not see. Object should be there, and the eye sense power should be active, looking at it, directed towards it. Number two, even your eye sense power is directly focused, directly directed towards the object, but if you are thinking of something else, and fully absorbed there, then seeing this flower will not happen. So the point is there should be three things. One is the flower, number two is the sense power, number three, your consciousness should be directed, your attention should be there, you're directed towards the object. So the object, the medium, the sense power, and the immediately preceding consciousness. So all these three things are required for my consciousness, eye consciousness, to see the object. So now what is being discussed here is the object that you're seeing. So many people, because the object is there, without object you cannot have the eye sense consciousness perceiving the object. Without sense power, you cannot have the eye consciousness seeing the object. So because the object and the sense power, these two are solidly there, so therefore, and our eye consciousness depends on these two things. And of course the immediate preceding consciousness, these three things, that these three things should be inherently real, should be really there, should be not like a dream, it should be really completely there in reality. So Aryadeva is, in chapter 13, he is rejecting object to be inherently existent, meaning that he is proving that the object is empty of object of existence. Even the object is also coming from the subject. One, not only the object, even the sense power that we have, even that does not exist objectively. And then finally, rejecting the sense consciousness. Even the consciousness is also empty of objective existence. So these are the three things, these three things rejected to be existing objectively, and proven that all three are like dreams. All three, but these three things do exist. It's not that these three things don't exist. These three things do exist. Two things to be kept in mind. In fact, just 2 days ago when I was in North Nagaland University for the conference, then I gave my presentation. After that, during the question answer, there was one gentleman, I think maybe he's from physics background. Then he asked a question. In Buddhism, emptiness of objective existence, that objective existence does not exist. Is that the ultimate truth? Then I said, yes. If there is ultimate truth, then emptiness, this emptiness, who sees it? Right? Okay. So this is a question which is bound to come to anyone who does not have a clear understanding of emptiness. So this is so important. So I said that two things to keep in mind, two questions to keep in mind when you speak about emptiness, observer of the emptiness, who sees it. When you speak about these things, two things to keep in mind. First, I acknowledge the question. The question is so important, and I'm happy that you asked this question, because this question which is bound to arise in any mind, in any person who hears about emptiness very briefly. So there are two things to keep in mind, two questions. First one is, do things exist? Do things exist? Like emptiness, or like the observer, the one who sees emptiness. Do these things exist? This is the first question. Answer, it depends upon you. You want to say yes, you want to say no. If you say no, you're not talking about emptiness, you're talking about nihilism. When you say no to the first question, do things exist? If you say no, then you are nihilism. You're nihilist. You're not into emptiness. So what is emptiness then? For emptiness, the first answer should be yes. Do things exist? Yes, everything exists. Yes, I, you, flower, good, bad. Then they say the education, the importance of education. All these things exist. Yes, law of karma exists. Yes, right? Even the self also exists. The person also exists. Having said this, that everything exists, then the second question. If things do exist, then the question is, how do they exist? Objectively or subjectively? This question. Then if you say it is empty of objective existence, they do exist, but they are empty of objective existence. They exist by, they exist subjectively. When you say they exist subjectively, from the object side they are empty. Okay, if you're able to say this, then you are getting emptiness. When you say things do exist, how? They exist subjectively. Objectively things are empty. This is a correct understanding of emptiness, not otherwise. If you say no to the first question, you are done. Right? If this is emptiness, then who sees it? Which means that you are you're prone to say that this person who sees emptiness is non-existent. This is how the person understands emptiness from Buddhism. This is wrong understanding. This is a very, very nihilistic understanding. Okay, so the point is everything exists. And particularly is saying, and since that all of us here, we have keen interest in what emptiness is, so therefore what I would say is that for those people who are beginners, emphasis must be on the first question. Do things exist? This is so important when speaking about emptiness. Do things exist? It's so important. Then for those who are more into, those who have more exposure to emptiness, then the second question is very important. More than the first question is the second question. How do things exist? Do things exist objectively or subjectively, right? Then we say things exist subjectively. If things exist subjectively, how subjectively? So this must be done more with more inquiry. Okay, and so because as you go deeper into emptiness, then if you go so much into things do exist all the time, there's a danger that you slowly, deep inside, you adhere to objective existence, and then in words, you are always saying that things are empty of objective existence. It is like, say, the holding of a flower, and you attach a label saying that this is not a flower, right? So even if you put a label saying that this is not a flower, it remains a flower. So deep inside, you're feeling that there's a flower there, and you give a label that it is not a flower. Likewise, so you talk about emptiness, deep inside you hold on to objective existence, and then you talk about emptiness. So therefore, it is important that but the thing is that one thing is the study is so important. Study is so important, study as to how things don't exist objectively. You have to study this thoroughly. And once you study this, then follow these steps of meditation on emptiness. Steps on meditation on emptiness. And then you may get a little bit of some clue of emptiness. Some clue of emptiness. Once you get some clue of emptiness that things don't exist from the object side, then what is that? What are those things that appear to me? So we say that these are just they appear. Things do appear. You perceive the objects, but the objects don't exist from the object side. Then perception, what are you perceiving? That is the mere perception. Mere meaning, from the object side, there's nothing really there to be perceived from the object side, right? So perception taking place without the objective existence, perception taking place, it becomes mere perception. Say, somebody, in the institution, whatever institution, say one is more like the ceremonial head, and the other is the functional head. There are two, ceremonial head and the functional head. And the ceremonial head, so say who is the head? So we say Mr. A, right? And who is the functional head? Say the Miss A or Miss B. What do you mean by ceremonial head? In the label, the person A becomes the head, but in actual implementation, in actual actions, person B decides everything. There are two things. So likewise, that through this then the perception comes, which is like the head, ceremonial head. It has the label, but it doesn't have the power. Likewise, things do appear, but beyond that, what appears beyond that from the object is nothing really there. So then it becomes a mere perception, mere appearance, mere perception. One thing. And then you keep meditating on this, keep meditating on how things are empty of objective existence. Now the next phase is that after seeing that from the object there's nothing there, what appears is just mere perception, mere appearance. Then, if it's a mere perception, then how do things function? Because we said that everything exists. The first question, everything exists. With good things, happiness arises. With bad things, miseries arise. If this is how the world operates, the functional world, then how does the world operate? How does the world function? If things are just mere the perception. Then on the basis of not just the perception, imputation, then the second one, through imputation, things still operate. Things operate by imputation. This next. So now you have to do things. One is a mere appearance from the objects is empty. Still things function through imputation. Two things combined together, then you get emptiness of objective existence and the subjective existence together. So this combination, with this combination, then if you get the emptiness experience, that becomes very profound. That is a real understanding of emptiness. So whereas, say you get the experience of emptiness, say things appear, but objectively nothing's really there. You get it, and then if you cannot account for the functionality, so that experience of emptiness is not a complete emptiness. It's not a final emptiness. So final emptiness is where you're able to posit the emptiness at the same time posit the functionality through the power of the mental imputation, and then able to see that because things are mentally imputed, functionality is due to the mental imputation from the object side, nothing is there. So here comes the emptiness of objectivity once more. So that is the final understanding of emptiness. Even then, even this, depending on, say, depending on your journey, how long you proceed through, how extensively you learn, right? So that determines how profound is your experience. Okay, so this is what we need to keep in mind. Now, chapter 13 is, as I said earlier, chapter 13, the title of chapter 13 is Refuting Objectively Existent Sense Powers and Refuting Objectively Existent the Objects. Objectively existent object and objectively existent sense powers, so both are rejected. Okay, let's see. And in this chapter, and there's one concept which is quite interesting and valuable, which is going to be a little to do with logic, and if you get it, that will be very helpful. Okay, let's see. 301, page 37. When seeing is formed, the whole pot is not in fact seen. Who that knows reality would claim that the pot is directly perceptible also? Okay, so saying that things do exist inherently. Things do exist inherently, how the opponents say. Things exist inherently, because let's say the pot. Without the pot, I cannot have my food, I cannot have water. So with a pot, then I can use it for water. So without a pot, if the pot is coming from your subject, purely subjective, then the pot and the imaginary pot, these two become like same. Imaginary, just as the imaginary pot comes from your mind, even the pot also comes from your mind. So both become imaginary, both come from your mind. In which case, then the functionality cannot be accounted for. So how can you say that things don't exist objectively? Things do exist objectively. So this is how the opponents who reject the concept of emptiness, they try to establish things existing objectively. Okay, let's see. Okay, so while we study this, see if you get something. The first, let's say this is the pot. Okay, let's say this is the pot. Yeah, this is the pot. This pot. When seeing its form, the whole pot is not in fact seen. So when you say, okay, do you see this pot? You see the pot. Directly or conceptually? Directly. You see the pot. Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. If you say you're sure, you should be able to defend it. You should be able to defend it. This is a big debate. So what you see is just the front part. You agree with me or not? The front part is not the pot. It's just a part of the pot. It's not the pot. Right? But you said that I saw the pot directly. What you saw is actually not a pot. It's just the front part. Okay. In the conference, there's one professor who's who has such a distaste of Buddhism, meaning that Buddhism he just pushes away. This is his, I don't know what kind of imprint he had. Then it is like saying that what he did was that I didn't say anything. I was just listening. And then his main objective is to undermine Buddhism. This is his main objective. All his talk somehow he relates this. Oh, Buddhism says like this, and Naya says like this, and then Naya says that it's foolish. It's fool. It's like this. So what do you call it? Very cynical, and just to denounce. This is the whole idea, whole agenda of this professor. Yeah, very sad. So what he was saying, actually, if somebody is very sensible, so what is being said here, particularly stanza 301. So this was actually, he heard a little bit, and he was saying this, and what he was saying was like saying that, say, group A says that I have a gold, and group B says, group A rejects group B, saying what you have is silver and what I have is gold, and group B saying that what you have is gold and silver is better than gold, and then those who said that gold is better than silver, you are fool. He's saying like this, and he's making fool of everybody. And actually, the reason that is said there is very profound. And that's simply because his word is that you're a fool. So all the listeners, because they could not follow the reasons right there, it was just the surface was said, and then fool, added this word fool, and everything that word is fool. This is how they are deliberately trying to undermine. Then I thought that at the time of what is that? Adi Shankara, he must have done the same thing, to deceive all the innocent people, just making very harsh words. This is very sad. So the idea is that it's amazing. So the idea is, the idea is, how do you say that I see this pot directly? This is the idea. How do you say that I see this pot directly? Anyway, for me it was very helpful this morning, yesterday evening, like last night when I was doing my prayers, and then the thought of him and all the group, the participants of the conference, they came to my mind, and particularly when I was doing my practice on compassion, spontaneously he came to me. He came to me and felt that, oh, poor guy, he is saying that I don't want to go to Nirvana. I will not go to Nirvana. He's the one, and telling everyone, don't go to Nirvana, right? So therefore, then a very spontaneous reaction meaning the feeling that, oh no. So anyway, it doesn't matter the fact that I'm connected with him now. I'm connected with all the people there. So may I be able to take them to enlightenment sooner or later. Okay, so this is very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Okay, so the idea is, so basically the question is, how do you perceive the object? This question, how do you perceive the object? When you say that this object, the pot exists objectively. If it exists objectively, then where is it from the object, right? Then the question, how do you know that it exists objectively? I didn't see it. Right? How do you see that? How do you say that it's objectively real? I can see it. If you say I can see it, what you really see is not a pot. What you really see is just the one part of the pot, the surface of the pot. Right? And then another thing is more closely with, so not another, related to this, more closely taught in Acharya Dharmakirti, chapter 1. Not chapter 2, chapter 1. No, chapter 2. Yeah. And chapter 1, it was detailed, it was explained in detail. Chapter 2, the debate was mentioned there. So the question was asked, what made you think, for example, let's say, okay, say there's a small child, and how do you teach the language? How do you teach the small child what a bird is? How do you teach the small child? Any idea? Or you don't know? No, the first one, what is bird? Don't say sound of bird. Sound of bird means the person, the young child should already know what a bird is. So how do you teach what a bird is? Okay, you try to point out which bird? All birds? Any bird. Okay, let's say the sparrow. Right? You bring a sparrow, and say this is bird. Right? Next time he sees eagle. Oh, this is not the bird. Because bird is small. Eagle is big. Vulture is big. It's not a bird. Bird is this. Okay, how would you... Is this a correct way of teaching? Which one? Okay, the bigger one. Bigger one? With two eyes? With two eyes? Then even human know there's a bird. There's a bird there. So how would you teach? Okay, one fly. Even aeroplane's bird, there's a big bird there. This is very difficult. You're getting it? How to teach a language, how the language works. This is very difficult. You're getting it? Okay, in this connection, say what connects the two things. Say a white bird and a blue bird. When you first label, bring a white bird, a white sparrow, this is bird. Next time you see a blue sparrow, right? Oh, this is not a bird, this is not white. No, don't worry about the color, right? Then you say, don't worry about the color. There's a beak there with the two eyes, with the wings. There's a bird. Then, okay, without the color, then what about the vulture, that big one, right? Color-wise, I don't care, but the size is very different. Again, say, don't worry about the size. Right? Like this. Then, for some people, you point to the white bird and say this is a bird. And next time, the same boy or girl sees a black crow, oh, this is also a bird. How can that person, this child, be able to correctly label what a bird is? How does it do? How does it work? Any idea? Jandiji?
Show the child, right? This is a cat. This is a dog. This is a bird. Sometimes small one, sometimes big. They have beaks.
Yeah.
And they all have hearts.
Heart we cannot see. No, you don't have to operate. Don't operate. Right? Otherwise, without operating, you will not see the heart.
They all have television eyes.
Yes.
I think it will be like experience will like sometimes he will make mistake in identifying something else as bird, and then we'll say no. The response which he'll get will be no, it's not a bird. Then that will make him teach.
Okay, this is a problem. Yes, Tejala, you have idea?
Maybe some general defining characteristics.
Like what?
As you said, like they fly.
They fly.
Wings, they have
Wings.
wings, they have beaks, they can be
Beaks.
different sizes, different colors, but
They can fly, they have beaks, and even the airplane
Yeah,
is also a bird.
No,
Then how should we exclude that then?
they're not machine made.
Huh?
They're living beings.
I see. They are not machines. So those with, right? So for example, say with a cat with a machine wings, then it's sent.
A cat with machine wings.
You can also fly. The wings are there. Very difficult, right? Very difficult. Okay. So the labeling. So Nyaya, in fact, the Nyaya tradition is very good in logic, very good in logic. It's mainly between Nyaya and Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist logicians, mainly. From the other classical traditions, Nyaya has a very good logical system. So they consider idea. Okay, Pranchu, do you know this? What this word is? They conceive of one idea which is very interesting. Nyaya say that, say for example, if you're already given the label that this is a flower, next time you see this, oh, there's a flower there. Why it is happening? Why it is happening there? You're getting it? Why it is happening there? It says, this tradition says that there is one substance known as Chi Tunshin. Chi means generality, Tunshin is distinct generality, which is different from the instances. Entity-wise different. This is generality, which is entity-wise different from the specifics. So this generality exists on all the individual flowers, small, big, white, blue, whatever, medicinal, poisonous. With every flower, there's one substance known as distinct generic entity. Distinct generic entity of flower that exists on every instance of the flower. Right? So where you see that distinct generic entity, where it exists, you see that, oh, this is a flower. It's very very easy. Right? So the question is then this distinct generic entity, which is permanent. If it is impermanent, again it can vary in size and so forth. Even this. If it is the impermanent, then it can vary in size. Again, two different sizes, you may again have a doubt. So everything is just, so there's one thing which is permanent, and the size and everything is just identical. It exists on every flower. So where the individual person sees that, you will see a flower, you say, oh, there's a flower there. Right? Now, the Acharya Dharmagirdi, this is amazing. In fact, I think I would say that from my personal experience, I may say that most of us, because of lack of our own knowledge, then we think that things lie in the plane of, say, mysticism, where you don't see. And I personally think that if my teacher, say from since childhood where I was so innocent, then I meet with the teacher, and the teacher is a Nyaya philosopher, and then he teaches me how the label happens, and I also ask how they happen, happens, right? So you say that this is flower, then next time I see this is not flower because it's white, right? Flower should be, I got the impression that the flower is pink or peach, right? So that no. It can be the peach color, it can be white, it can be blue, it doesn't matter, right? Okay. Then what is that thing which makes me think that it's flower? What makes me think? Then he will teach me that there is one object, there is what is known a distinct generic entity. In Tibet is Chitenshen. We need to look for the Sanskrit word. Huh?
Sorry, in Tibetan it is?
Chitenshen. We need to look for the Sanskrit word. Okay. Chitenshen. Because this Chitenshen, which is permanent, it exists on all the flowers. So when you feel this, when you see this Chitenshen of the flower, you see a flower. Right? And this is not the same entity as this flower. If it's the same entity as this flower, then that cannot exist on another flower. Right? It's an entity, a distinct entity. Distinct entity. So that exists on every flower. Okay. So, okay. Now, say, if you cover this flower half, so this Chitenshen, the distinct entity, generic entity, it is covered or not covered?
Yes.
This is the question. If you say it is covered, then you don't see the full generic, the distinct generic entity. If you don't see that, you cannot see the flower. But you are seeing flower, right? And then say, of the two hands, if I move the one hand like this, right? This distinct generic entity, is it moving or not? Right? If you say it's moving, then there is not moving part also. It should also not moving. So it has two parts. So whereas from that point of view, it is partless. If it is part, they end up in contradiction. Right? So therefore, some people they move their hands, some people they don't move. So the generic image is not the same, not generic image. Distinct generic entity is not the same, it's different. So it should be partless, same, identical in case of everyone. So I say human being. Right? So this is how this is rejected, and the rejections are so convincing. And then on top of that, how the label happens is through the imputation. There's no object there. Object as something which pervades all the flowers. All flowers are specifics. There's nothing, one object, the identical object exists on all flowers. It does not exist. This is just Denia's creation. It does not exist there. What is really happening is that there are similar characteristics. On that basis, our mind, okay, with these characteristics, then it's known as human beings. Okay, let's say that okay, human being, they all have 2 ears. Those are ears, they're human beings. Then suddenly you see someone where the ear is not there. Then so, oh, this is human being or not human being? I'm not too sure. Right? I'm not too sure. Okay. Then more the complexities, living or dead. Living. Right? And then somebody in the hospital saying, I want water, please help me. Right? Is this living or not? Because it's not standing. But this is also living because he is, crying, which means living there. Then what about somebody who's fast asleep? Then so what about somebody who is in a vegetative state, in a coma? These are all becoming, as the distinction becomes subtler, then our ability to say whether it's a human being, whether alive, not alive, becomes more and more difficult. Which means that it's not from the object. It's how refined your thinking is. How refined your thinking is. So when the demarcation is made on the basis of the consciousness, whether or not there's a consciousness there, then say when you move, it's clear that you have the consciousness. But when you're not moving in a vegetative state, in a coma state, right? So then the question arises whether or not there's a consciousness. Then, depending on how refined your, say, meditative experience is. So the point is, say, distinction between pure white and pure black. This white, this black, how easy is it for us to make distinction? Very easy. 80% black and 80% white, how easy that is? Still easy. Then 60%, 60%.
Getting gray.
Right? Then say 60%, 55% black, 45% white, or say 55% white, that's not to the extent. Let's say 80% white, 90% white, we'll still see it as so white. And particularly if you have been seeing black all the time, seeing is 50% black all the time, suddenly you see 90% white, this is so white. Right? When you compare it, is this really absolute white? You say, yes, it's absolute white. When you see brain, 95% white, you say, no, this is not absolute white. There's still a tinge of blackness there. And then you say, what about the other one, 95%? This is absolutely white. Again, you bring, say, 97% white. You say, no, there's a tinge. So therefore, as it becomes subtler and subtler, distinction becomes subtler and subtler, then our distinction to say that this is white, not white, pure white, not pure white, these things become more and more complicated. If there is this distinct genetic entity, as said by Nyaya, everywhere, then it becomes so easy. Why should there be complication? Because the distinct genetic entity, Chitanshan, this is same, identical in all cases. So when you say 100% white is white, why not you able to see that this is the, why not you able to say that 90% white is not 100% white? Right? So this clearly tells us that it's all from the subject, nothing from the object. But when Acharya, the Dharmakirti, when he was explaining this concept, he's not explaining from the point of view of the Prasangika, this is from the point of view of South Tantrika. But in terms of labeling, that concept can be taken to Prasangika also. But the objective existence is not rejected. Still, with this concept, objective existence is not rejected. What is rejected is the distinct generic entity. That is rejected. Right? So, in terms of the labeling, okay, this is an amazing thing. Now going back, so this pot, you see this pot exists objectively there. So inherently, how do you know that it exists objectively? I can see this. So this is how you get the reasoning. So when I say, I could see this, what you are really seeing is just the front cover. This is not the full object. This is not a pot. You are saying that the pot exists objectively because I can see this. What you are seeing is not actually the pot. Okay, stanza 301. When seeing its form is formed, the whole pot is not in fact seen. You see just the first form, the front form. The front form, whole pot is not in fact seen. Who that knows reality would claim that a pot is directly perceptible also. So therefore, how can you say that I could see the objectively existent pot directly? Because what I'm seeing directly is not the objectively existent pot. One. Number 302. By means of this very analysis, those with superior intelligence should refute individually all that is fragrant, sweet, and soft. Okay, let's say that I met my mother. I met my mother and I saw my mother. What you have actually seen is not a mother, just the front part of the mother. Front part of the mother is not the thin skin. There is not a mother. right? You have not seen beyond that. 99.9% of your mother, part of your mother is not seen. What you've seen is just the 0.01% of your mother's body, mother's parts, not the beyond this, right? So therefore, say whatever we experience, say the food that we eat the food, but what we actually experience, oh, I've experienced this plate, one plate of food, or say one, the ice cream scoop, one scoop of ice cream. Actually, they say 90% of the ice cream, your tongue even did not touch. They are the surface is what you touch, and inside there is no touch. It just went through, right? So we say that I experienced this, that, and so forth. In actuality, we did not. It says, by means 302, by means of this very analysis, those with superior intelligence, those who are those who can analyze, should refute individually all that is fragrant, the smell. Oh, I smell the smell of, the smell which pervades, the rose smell that pervades. What you smell is not really what pervades, it's just a small part that went through your nose. That is the one which did not pervade, right? Fragrant, then sweet, the taste, sweet, and the texture is the softness. So what we experience is just 0.01% of what you think you're experiencing. In actuality, it's just 0.0, and that too is not the full. So therefore, the pot, what I'm really seeing is not a pot, it's just a surface. Likewise, what you think that I'm experiencing as that particular object, whether the softness, whether the sweetness, whether the fragrance, what you think you're experiencing is actually just a part of that is experience, and the object per se is not what you experience. So it's an illusion that makes us think that we are experiencing this and so forth. Okay, with the other things, we have to slowly apply. So with the physical meaning, the visible objects, this is very easy. With the sound, smell, taste, touch, and so forth. So there, it is not difficult, but the visible objects, visual is very striking as compared to the other four sensual objects. So the other four sensual objects, we have to slowly learn how to see the emptiness of the other four sensual objects, right? Okay, with a visual object, are you convinced that, are you seeing a pot now?
No.
You're not seeing a pot.
I'm seeing a part of the pot.
No, are you seeing a pot? This is my question. If you say no, just say no. Are you seeing a pot? No? Yes? If you say no, what's the problem? It contradicts with the world. It contradicts with the world. If you say yes, it contradicts with the reasoning.
I didn't.
I'm
seeing a subjective pot, not an objective.
Okay, is there a pot or not?
Yes.
What you see is the front one. The front one is the pot. So more than this, you do not see anything. More than the front part, you do not see anything. And the front part is not a pot, not the subjective pot. Subject pot should be a pot. Right? Okay, so how would you deal with this thing? How would you deal with this thing? Okay, this is the point. One is, how do you see with your sense consciousness? Next one is how your conceptual mind thinks. Conceptual mind, okay, you look at this with the eye consciousness, and then the mental consciousness operates. Conceptual mind operates. And conceptual mind thinks that yes, he held a beautiful pot in his hand, flower pot in his hand. So flower pot came in your thought, right? So this thought, what picked up from the pot? What you have seen is just the cover, the front part, and not the pot. Front part is not a pot. So what came to your sense consciousness is not a pot. So sense consciousness is the one which sends the information to the mental consciousness. So mental consciousness cannot get more information than what the sense consciousness provides. So even the mental consciousness, what is formed is just the front part of the pot, and that is not the pot. Okay, so this is question. This question. So in Sanskrit, there is what is known as apoha, right?
Yes, apoha.
By means of selection, by means of the exclusion.
Eliminating.
By means of the elimination, right? Okay. So the point is, say, the conceptual mind, this is amazing. The moment you process something there from the opposite side, you are in problem. So this is what the Nyayas are doing. Nyayas are doing. So whereas it's just the reasonings, we have to study that. This is very important. And it is this mechanism of the apoha, by means of our thoughts eliminating the other things. You just, in other words, the thought pick up only one isolate. The thought pick up only one isolate, and the rest are not picked up, which means that it eliminates. Eliminates meaning it is not that you don't go, you don't come. This is not the idea. It just picks up one thing, and the others all what is not picked up, they are left behind. They are not in the purview of the conceptual thoughts. So what is picked up? Okay, so that picking up is by being very selective. Selective and elimination of others. This is the same. So to select A and eliminate non-A's. When you say the conceptual thought selects only A, which means it eliminates non-A's. Right? So the thoughts, they engage with the objects, conceptual thoughts, conceptual minds. They engage with the object by means of selection, by means of excluding other things and selecting one thing at a time, right? And that too, so let's say, okay, if I show you this, or if I show you, okay, yes, you have a very good camera, I'll show you this, and then you quickly take a photograph of this. Take a photograph. Then I ask you, what is there? I ask, what is there? You took a photograph, right? You're impressed by what is there. So which means that what have you seen? What have you seen with your eyes? You have seen the white paper, and then scribble there. What is scribble there? You are not aware. How many lines are there? You are not aware, right? Okay. So your eye consciousness, don't forget the two things. Object appears, subject engages. The flower appears to your mind, and the mind engages with the flower. There are two actions. One is the act of appearance and the act of engagement. So the act of appearance is the object or the subject. Object appears. Don't say the subject appears to the object. Object appears. So this sort of act of appearance is related to the object. And the subject engages. Object does not engage. Subject engages with the object. So there are two actions. One is the act of appearance related to the object, act of engagement related to the subject. In terms of appearance, when I show this to you, you see the white paper and something scribbled, right? Okay. So the first line says, when seeing is formed, the whole pot. When seeing is formed, the whole pot. So did it come to the appearance to your eyes? The first line, yes. But you may not be able to discern, you may not be able to engage in it. You may not be able to engage with it, but from the object, it appears. You're getting it? Object appears, but your mind may not be able to engage with it. Okay. Now the next is, okay, Okay, so now what you have captured in your camera, in the photograph, if you zoom it, then you will see the details, everything that was captured. So, to the senses, to the sense consciousness, the object appears by the power of the object, right? Well, there are two things, by the power of the object and by the power of the subject. So with the sense consciousness, for example, say, okay, what are you seeing? What are you seeing?
Flower.
You're seeing flower. Okay. Who's seeing this? Who's seeing this?
Eye consciousness.
Your eye consciousness is seeing this. Your eye consciousness is with me or with you? With you. Keep your eye consciousness seeing this. Your eye consciousness is with you. I don't have it with me, right? What did I ask you? Keep your eye consciousness seeing the flower. Keep it, maintain it. Okay. You're able to maintain it now? What happened to your eye consciousness seeing the flower? It stops. It stops. Eye consciousness seeing the flower stops. I asked you to keep it. So therefore it depends on the object. It depends on the object. You're getting it? Without the object, when the object is withdrawn, you cannot retain the eye consciousness seeing the flower. Okay, now think of the flower. With your eyes open, will you look at me? Think of the same flower. The same flower, think about it. Think about it, you are thinking about it, keep thinking about it. Irrespective of what your eyes are looking at it. Keep thinking about it, think about it. Can you think about it?
Yes.
Yes. In the second case, even if the object is drawn, still you can maintain your mental consciousness seeing the flower. You're getting it? With the sense consciousness, without the object, you cannot retain the sense consciousness seeing the flower. Whereas with the mental consciousness or the conceptual mind, you can retain the conceptual mind perceiving the flower, thinking the flower. You're getting it? One, without the object, eye consciousness seeing the flower stops. Even with the other conceptual, even without the object, the conceptual mind perceiving the flower can be maintained, can be sustained. Okay, what's the difference? What's the difference? Why, in the first case, eye consciousness seeing the flower, when the object is withdrawn, the eye consciousness seeing the flower stops. Why? Why not with the conceptual mind related to the flower? Why not? Anyone? Anyone? This is very important. Anyone? Just give you ideas. It may not be 100% correct, or it should be something related to what is said in the text, not necessary. Just speak your mind. Yes, Tijala?
Because the sense consciousness depends on the object for it to arise, while the mental consciousness does not depend on the object.
Okay, for the sense consciousness, it is directly dependent on the object, but the mental consciousness is not directly dependent on the object. Right? Okay. So, with the mental consciousness, what appears, actually what exactly is that thing which appears to the mental consciousness? Generic image. And generic image is created by the mind or by the object? By the mind, right? Whereas this object is created by your mind. Don't think that you are philosopher, you are Prasangika now. You are Sultan, or ordinary person without any philosophy. See, the flower is created by your mind, is there outside, is really there. It's really there, right? Whereas the generic image is just like an imagination that is created by your mind. In other words, conceptual mind, how it engages with the object, and the sensory mind, how it engages with the object, these two are very different. Sensory mind, how it engages with the object is by the power of the object. Conceptual mind engages with the object by the power of the selection. Selection means selection by the subject, not by the object. Object does not select. By the power of the selection, by the power of the apoha. Abhava meaning the selective, the phenomenon of selection, by the power of the phenomenon of selection. Shen cell in Tibet is known as Shen cell.
The power of the other.
No.
Shen. Other.
Shen is other, cell is eliminate. By the power of the elimination of other. Shen cell. Okay, these concepts may be a little complicated at the moment, but I would suggest you to just keep listening and pay attention. And after a while, you'll become expert on this. And somebody talks about it, oh yeah, this is obvious. Now, at the moment, it may seem a little complicated. So just keep going, you'll get somewhere. If you think that, oh, this is very complicated, then you are underestimating ourselves, right? Okay. Okay, now. Okay, 303.
Krishna,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Yes.
This elimination sound, I mean, I'm just trying to check experientially. It doesn't sound like I explicitly eliminate. If I look at the pen or the flower, I do select. So there is a difference, like one is like explicitly.
Let's not say I do select. You say my conceptual mind
Conceptual mind.
Yeah.
Conceptual mind
selects.
selects. So, I mean, selecting sounds a positive phenomena. Elimination sounds a negative phenomenon. These two
Yes.
sounds contradictory.
Yes.
The way you explained it seems to me it's a negative phenomenon.
Okay, so that it doesn't matter. Let's say what's in my hand, a flower. Is correct?
Correct?
You ask me what's in my hand, I say a non flower. Is it true? I have a non flower in my hand,
Yes.
right? Both are correct. You're getting it? So now it's up to you, right? If you're interested in negative, you say, oh, he's holding non flower. If you're so keen on positive, you say he's holding flower.
Then what is the correct understanding? Like for the conceptual mind, one is like saying, I'm explicitly saying, oh, it's not an elephant, it's not a lion, it's not, my mind can't work so fast.
Okay.
So it's like to eliminate everything else.
Now the question is, how does one do it? Right? How does one eliminate all others? This is your question.
I mean,
Okay, let's say.
Confusion would get.
Okay, let's say. What did I do?
Pick up the flower.
I picked up the flower. Not a flower, the flower. This particular flower, I picked up the flower. Which means the rest of the flowers, everything else I dropped. Right? So, it is like saying, let's say the same thing. The glass is half full, which means the glass half empty. Likewise, when I say I picked up one object, which means I drop the rest. I eliminate the rest. That's what? Did you eliminate elephant? Yes. Did I eliminate tiger? Yes. Even though I don't know what tiger is, it doesn't matter. I dropped tiger by just picking up the flower. You're getting it? So these two things are synonymous. I picked up through selection by selective. Say both words are used. It says that the sensory consciousnesses, they engage by the power of the object. And the conceptual minds, they engage through the power of the selection. Dubbe chupa. Dupa. Gapa, dupa. Gapa means negative. Dupa means the say positive. Positive, or by say in this case it's like selection. Dupa. Gapa, dupa. Okay. So when I say I picked up the flower, did I pick up an elephant? No, elephant is in my hand or outside my hand. All outside my hand they are dropped. All inside my heart is picked up.
It sounds very awkward.
No, it is
Geshe picked up flower, Geshe dropped elephant.
dropped everything else.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That
No.
mind,
The thing is, as long as it makes sense,
it makes
stay
sense,
there.
yeah.
Stay there, right? As long as it makes sense, stay there, right? What makes sense, keep this. That's precious. And when you disagree, it doesn't matter. You can perform, but don't forget what makes sense. If you bring in all what you feel what you think is inconsistent, incompatible, right? You bring this up, you tend to not to grab at the what you got, you're going to drop it. So what you got is so precious. As long as you see this amazing wisdom, pick up one object, you drop all other things. Right? This is very precious knowledge. Okay, so that is known as being very selective. Whereas I show you this, okay, I show you this flower, does this flower, if you are more keen on the peach color, if you're so addicted to peach color, we show this, perhaps you will be oblivious to these, the green ones. If you're so keen on green activist, right, then you only see this green. You wish that this flower is also green, right? So this is operating on the conceptual level. Whereas with the eye consciousness, it is operating on the flower. How do you know this? The moment I keep this away, your eye consciousness in the flower stops, which means that it is operating because of the object, by the power of the object. So now, if it is coming from the object side, what is in the front? What is in the front? Object will say that I will show you only the peach color to the one, or I will only show you the green color to the green activists. I will only show you the green color. No, the object will not make this distinction. Object will show you everything. What is in the front, everything will be shown to you. And then your mind selects. Right? Right? Okay. Say a shoe polisher, right? On the train station, they will see all the shoes of everyone. They will see all the shoes there. And hairstyler will see the hairs of everyone. You're getting it? Okay, because this is done through the conceptual. What the eye consciousness provides, eye consciousness getting information from the object. And the object gives you all, the hair, your body, your shoes, everything. And then the what do you call it? This hair.
Hairstylist.
Huh?
Hairstylist.
Hairstylist. They will pick up, the mental consciousness pick up only the hair. And the shoe polishers, they will pick up only the shoes. Right? This selection is done. Whereas the object will show you everything. And your conceptual mind will pick up only one thing. Right? So the eye consciousness is operating by the power of the object or by the power of the subject? By the power of the object. So that is known as, say, not by means of selection, by means of the object. So the object doesn't discriminate. It shows you everything. By means of dubba, not by the power of the selection, but the power of the object. Right? Whereas the mental conceptual mind, it operates on the basis of the selection, subjective selection, not from the object. So the subjectively you pick up whatever you are interested in. You getting it? Okay. This is very important.
Krishna, can I ask something?
Yes.
So could one think, is it, so it seems like if we say that you pick up something selectively, there is an implicit elimination. But
Yes.
if I say that I pick up non-flower, there is an explicit negation
Yes.
by which I am eliminating. Yeah?
Perfect.
Okay.
Right? So this is what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not what you're doing. This is how somebody else describes you. Right? Say, I pick up this leaf, and then you describe, and then the person describes me. The person says that, oh, Geshe dropped everything, right? Except for one thing, he dropped the white things, the red, the papers, the table, the house, everything he dropped, except for one thing. And you say that Geshe picked up the only the green leaves, which means that he dropped other things. So one explicitly, you are being explicit with what is picked up, and Deveshwara is explicit with what is dropped, right? So, but what I did one action.
Yeah.
From my side, I did one action, and how you describe that is different. That depends on your interest. And both of you are correct.
It depends on our propensities. How
No,
we
that
are.
absolutely up to you.
Yeah. Okay, interest and propensity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when we study the reverse pervasion, it is a way to train us to pick up non-affirming negative?
Not necessary.
Non-necessary. It's for
Not
clients.
necessary.
Okay.
Not necessary. So basically, it is one to get a very clear picture of the conclusion, the thesis, right? And of course, in the process, it will help us in so many other ways. It has many other positive consequences. Yes. Okay. This is a little complicated, but if we get it, this would be very helpful. Very helpful. So therefore, the same comment the person makes, from there, say I make one comment. I say that okay, I'll polish my own shoes. I'll polish my own shoes. Right? Okay. Somebody said, Namgila offers. Namgila says, oh, Gishra, you are very busy. I'll polish your shoes. And I said, no, Namgila, I'll polish my own shoes. Right? Now it depends. Right? Okay. Now, object is one, and subject is innumerable. Right? So, what you pick up from this information is amazing. Right? You can pick up very negative thing from here, very positive thing from here. Right? Oh, he's so humble, right? He's so humble. Even though he's so busy, he doesn't want to even say, they say that the shoe polisher comes. A shoe polisher comes, right? That, oh, he doesn't want, he's so humble, he does everything himself. Another person say, he's so miser. He doesn't want to even spare 10 rupees to the shoe polisher. Right? He's so miser. Look, this is how, and so this is how we interpret. Interpretation can vary according to the propensities of the individual. Right? Action is the same thing. That's amazing. So from this, how the mind selectively what engages with the object, from there you can get a lot of information about the people. What is their thinking, positive, negative, sharp, not sharp, just the same event, let them describe. From there you can figure out so many things. Right? Okay, good. 303. If because the form is seen, everything is seen, why? Because of what is not seen, would the form not be unseen? Okay. Now, what are you seeing? This one. A pot, flower pot. Huh? Okay, you have seen the part of a pot. You have not seen the pot.
The seeing part is the part of the pot.
Yes.
But the mind engaging is seeing the pot.
Okay. Your eye consciousness did not see the part of the pot. Your eye consciousness seen the part of the pot. Which part of the pot you have seen?
The front part.
The front part. Okay, front part, maybe the first atoms.
Yeah.
The atoms in the front. You have seen the atoms?
No.
Not. So what did you see then?
But the pot is not atom.
Even the front, even what you call as the front,
Yeah.
even what you call as the front, does it have parts or not?
Yeah,
It has front and back also?
yeah.
You did not see the back of the front. Right? So what you call as the front is also elusive.
Front of
Right. Front of front is also made of particles. If it's made of particles, it should have again back in front. Right? So even seeing a front is also complicated. Right? Okay. So it's coming, it will come. Okay.
Just saying, when you are asking the question, the thought, there is a conventional. When
Yes.
you are going and asking, do you really see the atom? You are transgressing that ultimate.
No. The atom is just a digression. But my question is, are you seeing the plot?
Yes.
You see. Are you seeing the plot? This is the question. Are you seeing the plot?
I would still say that
You're seeing the front of the pot. Front of the pot. You're not seeing the pot.
I'm not seeing that.
Are you seeing a pot? I know. My question, are you seeing the pot? Yes, no.
I mean, conventionally, if you say yes.
Uh-huh.
Conventionally, if you are asking,
What do you mean conventionally?
in the sense that everyone would see front part of the pot
Mm.
and then attribute, yes, I think it's really the pot.
Okay, the front part, is it a pot?
No, front part.
It's not a pot. It's not a pot.
That's what I'm saying, that conceptually then imposing, supplementing.
No, the front part, is it a pot?
No, it's not a pot.
Your eye consciousness is not seeing a pot.
Huh?
Your eye consciousness is not seeing a pot. It's just seeing the front part of the pot.
Yeah, if you are asking that, I would say that my eye consciousness is only seeing the front part of the
Pot and not the pot.
Seeing the pot.
You're not seeing a pot. Your eye consciousness is not seeing a pot. Okay. So what makes you think that you are not seeing the pot?
Because I can't see the top part of the pot. The lower
Because
part of the pot.
the pot has so many parts, and you are seeing the front part, not the hind side, top, and below.
That's right.
Okay. So likewise, the front part, does it have so many parts or not?
That is.
Front part, does it have many parts?
Yeah, it has been.
Front, back, all these things are there?
Yeah, that's right.
So you're not seeing the other parts of the front part. So you're seeing just the front of the front, not the front.
I'm seeing the front part of the pot. I'm not seeing the front, left, right part of the front part of the pot.
Okay, so you are just seeing the part of the front part.
Part of the
Front part, not the full front part.
yeah. I'm not seeing the full front part.
Right? Okay, what have you seen? You've seen the part of the front part. Part of the front part, does it have many parts?
Yeah, it has many
Then again you have seen the part of the front part, not the part of the front part. You go on like this, you cannot pass it having seen anything. Right? Okay. So this is not contradiction with you accepting conventional reality. If you accept objective reality, then you have to answer this. But for conventional reality, you don't have to answer all these things. Even if you see the front part, it suffices seeing the part. You don't, and then because what you're seeing is not the front, it doesn't matter. This is conventionally. Ultimately, nothing's there. You go like this, nothing's there. I don't see anything ultimately. But the fact that I see the pot is because I see a part of it, and that suffices seeing a pot conventionally. Right? So therefore things exist conventionally. You're getting it? Okay. So what is being rejected here is not you seeing the pot. What is rejected is you believe in objectively existent pot. That is rejected, right? Okay. Now, if this analysis, by doing this analysis, don't just say, okay, this is a problem only for those people who believe in objectively existent pot. Ask this question to yourself, to ourselves. Am I really seeing a pot? Answer is yes. But what I'm seeing is just a front part. Is that a pot? There's no pot. How can you say that you are seeing a pot? Okay. Are you seeing the world? Are you seeing the galaxy? No. Are you seeing galaxy? But you're seeing part of the galaxy.
Yeah.
What you see now is a part of galaxy, yes?
Yes.
So seeing part of galaxy, does it suffice seeing galaxy? How seeing a part of the pot suffices seeing a pot?
Yeah.
Right? So therefore, the point is again, say if you say that, okay, this is for our own analysis, particularly to dissolve our belief in objectively existent part, objectively existent person, like your mother, like a friend, like a brother, sister, or whatever, particularly to whom you have a, say, feeling of attachment. Just ask yourself, am I seeing the person directly? Yes. But what I'm seeing is just the front part? Yes. The front part is not a person, it's just thin skin? Yes. That's not a person? No. If the thin skin comes separately, it's very scary. Right? So that's not a person. So where is that person which I think I'm seeing directly? Right? What I'm really seeing is just the thin layer of the skin. That is not a person. So how am I saying that I'm seeing the person directly? And if that leaves a feeling of a tinge of fear, this would be very helpful. You're very lucky if a tinge of fear comes to you. No? And then slowly with this, the feeling of the concreteness of the self dissolves. This is not emptiness. This is more closer to us. Emptiness of autonomous substantial reality. You see the person as autonomous there, independent there, not just this thin skin, but the independent there, autonomous. Substantial meaning something tangible there, autonomous substantial reality there, right? So when you realize that the person is not beyond the thin skin, right? What I'm seeing is just this, and that's not the person. So where is this person? Not really. Have I seen? I've not seen. Then you just get lost. So there, the autonomous substantial self of the person dissolves in your mind. So this person to be identified as an autonomous substantial entity that dissolves. So that is the second level of the emptiness out of the 5 level, right? Okay, good. If because the form is seen, everything is seen, and if you say that because I see just the front part, and I say that I see the whole object, likewise, why don't you say because I don't see the hindsight of the object, why don't you say that I did not see the object? It's the same reasoning. I see the front part and I say that I saw the object, the pot. The front part is not the pot. And you don't see the hindsight of the pot. And why don't you say that I don't see the pot? Because I don't see the part of the pot. So the reasoning is the same. 304.
Krishna, why this analysis that you just shared, why does it apply only to autonomous substantial real?
So from this, if you get a feeling that something the solidity,
But the person
listen. Solidification of the person dissolves. This is very gross. It's not subtle, gross one. Right? So that something dissolves. Some solidification dissolves pertaining to identification of person. Right? That dissolution, that you have discovered something. In other words, dissolve meaning that you have discovered something, that how I believe the person to be is not true. It doesn't really exist that way, right? I don't really see the person directly as such. I don't identify the person as autonomously there. I have to identify the person by means of identifying something else. The front part is not a person. By seeing just the front part, then I say that I identify the person. So therefore I identify the person not independently, indirectly. So autonomous is lost. Right? Autonomy of the person in terms of identification, that is lost. So autonomous substantial, there's a substance out there to say that this is a person. How do you know this person? I can see that this is deceptive. What you're seeing is not this person. It's just just a small part. That is not the person. Okay. So if you discover something, it will discover that my perception, within my belief, something is wrong. Some solidification is not really here the way I think it is. If that comes to a mind, you are actually getting closer to us, emptiness of autonomous substantial reality, right? So this one and the actual emptiness, there's a stark contrast in the experience, stark contrast in the subtlety of the experience. Okay, 304. Yes.
I'm really struck with the thought, this example. I mean, when you show that is it really the pot, and I see really the front part.
Yes.
I don't see the whole pot, but I would definitely give the answer, yes, I'm seeing the pot. But isn't it that what is directly being seen with my eye consciousness, which is the pot, really gets supplemented or supported by the generic image of the pot which I have in my mind? And then I say that, yes, I think this is really the pot. And I see the full pot.
Okay. Usually you are saying, you mean to say that, say your eye consciousness, so how you interact with the pot is on two levels. One is your sense consciousness, and the other is the conceptual mind. So sense consciousness, it perceives the front part of the object, front part of the pot, not the pot, and not the whole, everything of the pot.
That's right.
Whereas the next moment, the conceptual mind arises, so that creates the generic image of the pot. So because the next moment, the conceptual mind, it creates the generic image of the pot, and then you say that this is a conceptual mind perceiving the pot. So therefore, the consciousness, eye consciousness, which preceded this conceptual mind, is said to have seen the pot. Is what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, this is actually a very good idea. Okay, now Ajirji, I don't know whether you've been trapped or not. Okay, Ajirji, are you seeing the universe now?
No.
Okay, you're not seeing universe. Okay, what you see is just a Tibet part of universe. Part of universe. This is your sensory consciousness. Then you pass this information to your conceptual mind. Your conceptual mind thinks about the universe, right? Your conceptual mind creates the generic image of the universe, right? So now, because the next moment, the conceptual mind creates the generic image of the universe, the preceding mind, eye consciousness, seeing the small part of the universe, doesn't mean that that should also be seeing the universe. So the reasoning is just the same, right? Okay, this is...
No, the preceding mind, the sense consciousness would not really see that. It's the generic image, which is really the mental.
This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to say, let's say, with the pot, the pot is the object and the subject. There are two. First moment, eye consciousness seeing the front part of the pot. Second moment, the conceptual mind creating the generic image of the pot. Two. Because of which the first moment, eye consciousness seeing the front part of the pot is said to have seen the pot. Is what he's saying? It is on the basis of what generic image was created by the next moment, conceptual mind. Likewise, we apply the same thing to the say universe. Say Tibet house, which is part of the universe. You are seeing the Tibet house, part of the universe, as an object, and your sense consciousness, your eye consciousness seeing the Tibet house. The next moment, your conceptual mind creating the generic image of the universe. Right? So, because your conceptual mind, next moment the conceptual mind created the generic image of the universe, does it mean the preceding mind, which saw the part of the universe, has also seen the universe? No. So the reason is just the same. If that has not seen the universe, then the eye consciousness seeing the front part of the pot also should not be seeing the pot. If you said it is a pot, then the eye consciousness seeing Tibet also should be seeing the universe also, same thing. So this is what we have to analyze. This would be so these analysis would be extremely helpful for our understanding of emptiness, because finally emptiness has to be understood with the help of the sharpness of your thinking. Right? And these thinking processes will greatly help us to sharpen our thinking.
Geshe, but the I consciousness that arose based on the preceding moment of mental consciousness, that I consciousness is not is that labeling this as spot? No.
I consciousness
Because
never labels.
Exactly. It's just perceiving this.
Perceive.
And then it's the next moment of mental consciousness which is providing the label and saying this is spot or whatever.
Oh no, what are you saying?
So in what Ajiji is asking, that the next moment of conceptual mind, whatever label it gives, it doesn't have to apply to the preceding moment of I consciousness.
Why not?
That moment came and went, and that I consciousness just saw, it didn't label. It just
Okay,
perceived.
if this is what Tejala says, then Ajiji will have a feed. Right? Ajiji will put you to trap very easily. If you say the first one came and gone, right? Came and gone, the evening was done by the next moment. Right? If you say like this, you will never see a present moment of the mind. Right? Present moment of mind should be made of three components: beginning, middle, and end. Beginning one is gone. End is yet to come, right? And 1/3 of the what you call as present moment, it becomes 1/3. If 1/3 is also the elusive, this is also considered three parts: beginning, middle, and end. You can never pinpoint. Then Ajiji will be so happy. Tejala will be trapped here. Okay, so this what Ajiji is saying is that the next moment can play a role. Can play a role to say whether or not the first moment is the sensory consciousness seeing the pot or seeing the front part of the pot. Right? Okay. So this is a very good discussion, and if possible, this will go into your group discussion. This is a very good point. Yes.
Is there, can we posit something which only the sense consciousness perceives? Like, I'm trying to think that, can a sense consciousness work without the mental consciousness? I can't think of. To perceive or to cognize, to be very clear.
To cognize.
To cognize.
Cognize, mental is always involved here.
So to
Perceive not.
perceive not, because non-discerning perception.
Yeah, yeah. To cognize, mental.
So if I say in a loose language, not in the psychology language, to interact with anything just with the sense is not possible. You need the mental.
To interact, but then in a loose sense and in a very strict sense. In a strict sense, say the moment the object-subject comes into contact is interaction. In a strict sense.
I cannot identify.
In a loose sense, how we understand interact, engagement, that the mind engages, active engagement. So there it is, the mental consciousness must be there involved.
So that in a strict sense, at my level I can't identify. So I just have to, it's a theory, right, at my level right now.
What theory?
That there's a very small moment of mind, and the sense consciousness, the object appears, and the mental consciousness is not involved at that time.
It's not theory. It can be not really experiential also, but you can infer it accurately. Let's say that my eyes are wide open and directed towards you. My thought was engrossed with, how I lost my mother. So deeply inside, I become very emotional, so deeply engrossed. My eyes are wide open. And you see that my eyes are wide open. And then suddenly you wave your eyes, you see that something's wrong with me. Hey, what happened? Then suddenly I came back, right? Okay, so during that time when I was heavily engrossed with that reflection, my eyes are wide open, one. It came in contact with the object, two. Right? Two. So, during the waking state, with my eyes wide open, unless there's a non-dual experience of emptiness, where the mind is fully absorbed and the sensory consciousness they shut down. Unless you reach that point, sensory consciousness is still operating. Still operating, which means it is a non-discerning direct perception.
And it doesn't interact, that's what I said. That in the example you're giving, you're not interacting.
No, now it does interact. It does interact. How you understand interaction, it is not there. From your side, interaction means that I was saying, go like this. So this is more like passive.
Yes.
Interaction, because, why I say it's interaction? Because object-subject contact is happening and there is a process happening.
I see.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions?
So Geshe, the sense direct perceiver in Buddhist psychology, is that a sense direct cognizer, or is it just a perceiver in that category?
Okay, let us say, okay, if possible, what you say, if it doesn't make sense, then you can say sense direct perceiver as said in Buddhist psychology. If it does make sense to you, don't qualify that with as in Buddhist psychology, because it's reality, right? It becomes a habit. Once it becomes habit, later on, when you go to very important interactions, discussions, conferences, so forth, again you will say from Buddhist psychology. The moment you say Buddhist psychology, everybody will close their ears, right? So the point is, the sense direct perception that we have, does it necessarily cognize the object? This is your question?
Yes. No.
Answer is not necessary. There's what is known as non-discerning direct perceivers that are there. Right? Okay. So we'll stop here. We'll stop here for today. Let us do direction prayer. Okay. Okay, page 274. Page 274. Lamrim dedication prayer. From my true collections, vast space that I've amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds were blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in the loving kindness for all lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of the complete greatest positive teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I've discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever directions the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted conscious peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. By even this greater power, enlightenment traverses completely due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing excellent paths never be separated at the end of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes the effort to act in accordance with the tenfold mind of virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and the oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.